In the race for the White House, Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann is gaining on front-runner Mitt Romney in Iowa. A new poll just released by the Iowa Republican newspaper has Congresswoman Bachmann ahead by 4 percentage points. Meanwhile, former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin graced the cover of Newsweek magazine with this headline, "I can win." Is Congresswoman Bachmann's success making it more or less likely that Governor Palin will enter the race? Who better to ask than one of my favorite Democrats, my friend and Fox colleague, Democratic pollster and analyst Doug Schoen. Doug, it's always a pleasure.
Thanks, Judge. Appreciate it.
Does the success, even though it's short-lived so far, right, the recent success of Michelle Bachmann in these early Iowa polls give Sarah Palin a reason to think about getting in the race?
I think it gives her less of a reason, Judge.
Let me hear it.
Well, Michelle Bachmann's ahead 25-21. She's moving up in the polls vis-a-vis Romney. Her favorable rating is the best in the state. Pretty tough to see how Sarah Palin's going to cut into that.
What about Sarah Palin thinking, this could be the year of the woman? I am better known than Michelle Bachmann. I've been tested through the fires before. Should I consider jumping in New Hampshire, where I have a lot of friends?
Well, I think it may be the year of the woman, but it's the year of the other woman, Michelle Bachmann, rather than Sarah Palin.
Oh, why do you say that?
I say that because Sarah Palin's negative has really gone through the ceiling, and her dithering about running, I think, maybe it's helped her brand, but it hasn't helped her political standing.
All right. Michelle Bachmann has been on this show. She sat right where you sat, and she told me she's a libertarian.
Right.
Yet she voted for the Patriot Act. You know that assaults the Fourth Amendment. She took some oath saying it's the government's business who you marry. I don't know if that means she's against divorce or not. She took an oath saying she thinks the federal government can take pornography out of your homes, that you don't have the right to read and look at whatever you want in the privacy of your home. Are any of these libertarian issues?
Well,
Are any of these appealing to libertarians?
I don't think they're libertarian issues. I don't think they're appealing to libertarians. There's a strand in the Republican Party that is bigger than the considerable 10-11% of Republicans who are libertarian, that is intolerant, that supports the Patriot Act, opposes gay marriage, opposes abortion, and frankly leads her to call herself a libertarian and take positions at variance with that label.
All right. Should Mitt Romney be concerned about these numbers, or should he discount them because it's early and it's Iowa, which is the land of her birth, and because he's got 50 or 60 times as much money in the bank as she does?
Judge, you've heard it here first. He should be scared to death. To death. He's not going to compete in Iowa. He's not going to win the straw poll. He's not going to win Iowa. I don't think he'll be in the contest. It will give Michelle Bachmann a shot in the arm as she goes to New Hampshire and South Carolina. It also raises problems for Rick Perry if he thinks about getting in.
Is the divide in the Republican Party, and you and I have talked about this a lot, Barry Goldwater, Nelson Rockefeller, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Ron Paul, Mitt Romney. Does that divide still exist, on one side of which are big government Republicans, on the other side of which are small government constitutionalists and serious libertarians?
Yeah, my sense is about 60-70% of Republicans are small government, anti-tax. They lean in a libertarian direction. They may or may not support the actual tenets of libertarianism. So the big government Republicans are basically in retreat.
Do the big government Republicans fear libertarians?
I don't think they understand libertarians, because a lot of the views are not consistent with how they see conservatives. They also, frankly, fear the Tea Party even more because of the virulence and intensity of the sentiment.
Steve Moore, whom we both know and who works for the Wall Street Journal, was just on right before you. And he speculated, we don't know if this is true, that John Boehner may have toyed with the idea of raising taxes when he met with the president last night and this afternoon, went back to his caucus and basically got such looks on their faces that he knows he can't do it. These are looks on the faces of libertarian members of Congress who don't want to raise the debt ceiling no matter what John Boehner brings home from the White House.
Judge, the Speaker was prepared back in September, if you remember, to do a deal to raise taxes. He's been looking for a grand bargain. I think it's almost certain that in the last few days or last week or so, he's been prepared to raise taxes. But as you said before with Congressman Ross, 85 or so members who were newly elected took a solemn oath not to raise taxes. I don't happen to support it, but I understand that for their constituents, they cannot go back on that.
You expect them to stick to their guns?
I do, absolutely.
Doug Schoen, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Judge, thank you.